So do you remember last week we were listening to new music? We were listening to the new Jimmy Poindexter album. Let me pop it up actually real quick. Jimmy Poindexter, rapper, up and coming rapper, kind of like a backpack rapper, I guess. Closest thing we have to a backpack rapper in 2024. I actually found him late 2022, or actually early 23. Fantano reviewed one of his albums. He was like a pretty unknown rapper. Fantano happened to catch wind of him somehow, put him on the map a little bit. Ever since then, I've been checking his shit out. Well, last Friday, he dropped his new album titled Don't Look Behind You. Thursday streams, we listened to new music. The new Jimmy Poindexter out. He used to go by just Jimmy, all caps. This year, changed it to Jimmy Poindexter, which I actually like. And I'm not going to lie, I liked his album last year. But if you go back and watch Scratched Up Live number 13, you will see pretty quickly into my live reaction to this album that this album sucks. And I recognize that immediately. Okay, right? It's not a great album. It's very wears his influence way too heavy on his sleeve. So heavy on this album that on song number 2, titled The Watcher's Dilemma, he, and I was listening to this live, right? And this part comes on this Watcher's Dilemma song, and I'm like, dude, he sounds like Kendrick. Why is he sounding so much like Kendrick? This is it's kind of whack. He's not the first to do that. I mean, literally, Playboi Carti made a goddamn Future song last week, but it's by Playboi Carti, you know what I mean? So, whatever, I finished the rest of the album. It's not great. Pretty bad, actually. And then, later, the next day or something, I'm looking at people discussing this album on Hip Hop Heads Reddit, and they're talking about how it's a Kendrick Lamar AI. I'm like, oh my god, that literally was Kendrick's voice that I was hearing. I thought it was Jimmy sounding a lot like Kendrick. No, this man used Kendrick Lamar AI for what seems like 2 minutes long in the song. I mean, it's at least an entire verse. There's dialogue before the verse. Kendrick's talking. He uses the fuck out of this Kendrick Lamar AI and is selling it on Apple Music and Spotify. Now, this isn't a commercial album. This isn't a label thing. This man is pretty damn independent as far as I know. So, is he even really making money off of it? Not really, but I'm listening to it. I know this man. How do I know Jimmy Poindexter? This man is doing something with his music. He's making something with his music. What is the implications of this? I'm kind of, how do I feel about this? Well, I'll tell you how I felt about the song. The song is ass. The Kendrick AI isn't doing the song any favors. Because it's obviously, even if people don't recognize that it's AI, which is, kind of its own set of cringe. If people just think that it's actually just Jimmy sounding like Kendrick, which is a little cooler, a little more impressive than just AI, it's still a rip. And even before I realized it was AI, I was like, what the fuck is this logic ass shit? Wearing influences too heavy on your sleeve it's a pitfall. It's a trap. I think it's a genuine trap. It's hard to toe that line between I'm influenced by this person, but I'm not ripping them off. It takes a real artist to do that. Not every artist is going to be cut up to that task. And if that's the case, Jimmy, just do your own thing. He has his own thing. He just went too hard on the cornballs on this, dude. And then it's got, I mean, it really is just, this album here is just falling for a lot of the same traps and pitfalls that Logic has fallen for in his career. The narrative flow, this album has cinematic monologues throughout the thing, like a Logic album does, which is something I just can't stand. Totally ruins the flow of an album. Should have been a screenwriter. You're here to make music. Anything can be done well, but what Poindexter here, what he did here is he didn't do it well. What Logic has attempted to do, he just doesn't do it well. If you're going to listen to a Jimmy album, which, you should, get to know him a little bit, this is the one I would do. So, I just thought that was a little crazy. There's some people talking about it online. We can look at this. So, on albumoftheyear.org, this album got a 56. That's an F. Let's see what they say. Was the Kendrick Lamar AI necessary? This is also one of the most messy albums I've heard this year. Every track has felt underwhelming and uninspired. Dude, I'm not even, that commenter is not even, going too hard. It might be kind of hard to tell from the perspective of your just casual music listener why this album is pretty atrocious. And that's why I'm kind of making a point about this is on face it's okay, it's not bad, it's not great, but it's okay. But no, in reality, I say in reality, but I guess in my reality, with the information and the knowledge I have, the historical context of where we're at in hip hop and blah 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 blah, this is dog shit. This album is dog shit, and I know Jimmy has got the right destination in mind. It's just getting there. Making music is difficult. It really is. If you're doing it with intent and you know, doing a lot of things, it can be difficult. Should be. I feel like he puts work into his projects. You know, I'm sure it took a lot of thought and hours to make this project, but dude, like, what are we doing here, man? Like, Jimmy, you should be learning from the mistakes of Logic. I didn't expect you to go down this, like, wearing your influences on your sleeve so heavy and like just doing these same pitfalls that Logic did. I honestly thought better of you artistically, Jimmy, and I know you can do better. This guy says, bro is Logic, but more pretentious. Also, not gonna lie, I really hope that Kendrick feature is an impression and not AI, for the love of God. Jimmy might be the corniest, least original rapper to ever exist. If I was rating this purely on originality, it would be a 0. He gets 20 points for being sorta good at rapping, but loses all credibility with corny bars, skits, and corny concepts. They're nailing it, dude. I haven't really been on this website before, but these people know what the fuck they're talking about. This person actually gave it a 70. Was hoping this would continue the upward trend that Jimmy's been on since 2022's Ghetto Land, but this was just fine. Don't really like the inclusion of AI Kendrick. Obviously, if it is real, that's fine, but as of right now, I'll assume it isn't. Obviously, it's not real. That much, and some of the songs were a bit meh. I did like the overarching theme throughout the album. See, I'm not even fucking with the theme. The theme is like and there's one of the tracks is literally called a whodunit. It's a whodunit. It's like Clue. It's like Clue, the album. I don't know. It's a complete mess, really. Sorry, Jimmy. I mean, come on, dude. You should have known that. And this is the thing. Like, I feel like Jimmy's the type of person to be in these comments making a comment like this on somebody else's album. He actually has this pretty cool song where he, like, disses all the best rappers, which sounds stupid on his face, but he does it pretty well. You Not Me, where he's, like, giving reasons why he's better than Tyler, the Creator, and why he's better than Kendrick. I feel like he actually does a pretty good job, like, making an argument. Not that he is correct exactly, but he doesn't need to be correct. He's being competitive with top in the game. So last year was actually, like, the highlight of Jimmy, and now he's, like, at a low point. So maybe he'll even it out next year. I'm kind of enjoying these comments. Let's see. Made it sound like a soundtrack to a film about a private investigator. Definitely room for Jimmy to grow, especially if he does get picked up by a label and given the chance to grow even more. This person gave it an 8.9. This album follows the private investigator Jim Jameson in his journey to solve the case of his dead mother while also attempting to become a town hero. Like, what kind of a fucking concept is that for a rap album? It's just like flat on its face from the get-go, and obviously like a great artist could make something out of that, but Jimmy didn't do that. This person really liked the album though. Overall, the album was produced perfectly. Produced perfectly? Come on, man. Even if the amount of AI used for the characters was a bit overwhelming. Yeah, I think people just had an issue with the Kendrick Lamar AI, really. This person gave it a 2. This is probably Jimmy's worst album to date. The album is filled to the brim with really uninteresting production, and that Kendrick AI verse has to be the corniest thing I've seen on an album all year. Hard agree. And that's why we're talking about this, because I can't underestimate how bad it is that he did that. Not like that it's actually going to affect his career that bad. I mean, it might. Honestly, it might a little bit. Like, that's going to be a tough one to get people to forget about. And that's the thing. I'm like, he used the Kendrick AI, obviously, just to get attention. And that's not a horrible route to take, I guess. But it is if you're putting it on your album to sell and make money off of. It's honestly illegal. And I think his hope, I had this thought, I genuinely think Jimmy thinks this way and that he would do something like this. I think he's trying to get sued by Kendrick to put his name on the map. You know, there was what happened? Drake used Tupac AI, and then the Tupac estate threatened to sue Drake or did sue him or something. So I'm pretty sure Jimmy did this intentionally to get Kendrick's attention, to even possibly get sued by Kendrick as a way to get his name into some headlines and papers, which isn't the worst idea in the world, but it kind of is, because you're going to get clowned on for using Kendrick Lamar AI before he sues you. The route that I think Jimmy hoped this would have taken was that nobody made a fuss about it until Kendrick sued him, or like if he was going to sue him, and then like if Kendrick never sued him, it would just be swept under the rug. But I don't think that's how it's going to play out. I don't think Kendrick's going to sue him, and I don't think people are going to forget about this. And obviously if Jimmy drops another project, then it's great. Kind of things will be forgiven. But if he keeps dropping worse, bad album after bad album, keeps going down this path here, this Kendrick AI thing is going to be the start of a very rough career for Jimmy, which is kind of like the worst possible outcome for this to play out. I don't hope that for him. I'm just saying what I see. The writing on the wall here. Yeah, so people just really not liking this album, and there's a lot more reviews on here than I even expected. So people do be listening to him, and I guess I would attribute that to Fantano's plug last year, right? Probably.